Hi students, in this video I'm going to go over the worksheet that I left of practice of multiplication and division, and I'm just going to go over two problems. If you need this worksheet, just come and tell me in class. I'm going to go over the first problem, and that is x squared minus 36 over negative x squared minus 2x plus 48 times x plus 8 over x minus 3. All right, so the first thing you want to do when you multiply rational expressions is factor. You want to have the numerators and denominators in factored form. So this numerator, x squared minus 36, it's difference of squares. And you should recognize that because you have something squared minus something squared. 6 times 6 is 36, so 6 squared. If that is true, now you can quickly write two binomials as x plus 6 and x minus 6. So that's your new numerator. For the denominator, we have a trinomial that we do need to factor with the strategy of the x. But this negative x squared, we don't want this to be negative in order to factor this correctly. So you want to maybe leave it as, actually let's leave it so you can see what happens with the a value. So negative times 48, it's negative 48, and then your b value is negative 2. So what two numbers do you multiply to get 48? So 6 times 8, and then 6 and 8 give you a difference of 2, but you want negative 2, so you end up with negative 8. We're going to write down these numbers in our binomials, x plus 6 and x minus 8. However, we always need to check the a value to be a 1 in order for this to be by itself without change. If this is not a 1, then this number, the negative 1 that we have right here, needs to be divided right here. So these numbers that you found need to be divided by the a value if this a value is not 1. So then therefore these are not going to be x plus 6. 6 divided by negative 1 is going to be x minus 6. And then this one's going to be negative 8 divided by negative 1. So that's x plus 8. So ignore these. And then now we multiply. And these two are factors that cannot be factored anymore. X and 8 have nothing in common. And then this is not squared either, two difference of squares. So we're just going to write those down. So x plus 8 on the top and x minus 3 on the bottom. Okay, so now we want to, oh, by the way, I forgot. Over here, since we divided by negative 1 and it divides evenly into both, we need to put the negative 1 in the very front. All right, so here we have x plus 8 and x plus 8 on the top and bottom. So you need to look at this like a fraction times another fraction, which ends up just multiplying everything on the top times itself, and then everything on the bottom. So it's a big fraction. If you have the same factor on the top and bottom, it creates a 1-to-1 ratio. So imagine you got 1 on the top, 1 on the bottom instead of these two. If you look at another one, you have x minus 6 and x minus 6 right here. So that also creates a 1-to-1 ratio. So on the bottom, we now have negative 1 times 1 times 1 times x minus 3. So we just want to multiply the negative 1 and the x minus 3. On the numerator, we're going to have this x plus 6 times 1 times 1, because these are gone. So then you're left with x plus 6. So this is where we're at now. And if you look at the answer choices, the only one that's close to this is this one. And in order for this answer that we have to look like that, we need to understand that this -1 is being multiplied in. But notice that the denominator stays the same, so what changes is that we actually multiply the -1 into this one. So if you multiply the -1 in there, you're going to have -1. And the reason why is because -1 is just -1/1. And then you end up multiplying it times x plus 6 and x minus 3 on the bottom. So now we have -1, so negative x minus 6, and then x minus 3. So this is how these two answers match. So this answer is right here on the bottom. It's the first little dash. You're going to put the letter A for that little space. And it's supposed to be a riddle, which a lot of you found the answer without doing the work. So again, I'm not worried about the answer. I'm worried about the work. Can you understand how to multiply and divide rational expressions? So here's the next example, and I'm going to do division. 6x minus 30 divided by 6 divided by x minus 5 divided by x plus 2. So these fractions are being divided. And whenever we divide fractions, we want to keep, change, flip. So you keep this fraction the way it is. You multiply this division to a multiplication, and then you flip this. So it's going to have x plus 2 at the top and x minus 5 at the bottom. Now we do what we did in the previous example, which is to multiply straight across. So imagine this merges. So you're going to have 6x minus 30, x plus 2, 6 at the bottom, and x minus 5. As I'm looking at this, remember that this had to be factored first before multiplying. So we have to factor first before multiplying. This 6x minus 30 has a GCF of 6. This 6 is just a 6, so there's nothing we can factor. This x plus 2 has a coefficient of 1, so there's nothing we can factor here because there's nothing squared, and then there's no GCF. Same thing here, the leading coefficient is 1, so there's no GCF. So the only one we got to factor is that one. And we're going to write it as 6 parentheses x minus 5 over 6 times x plus 2 and x minus 5. And then now we multiply, and when we multiply, we want to simplify top and bottom if there is a 1-to-1 ratio. So right here, these factors of 6, they can be dashed out because they're a 1-to-1 ratio. 6 divided by 6 is 1. Also, x minus 5 and x minus 5 can be dashed out because if they're on top and bottom, it's a 1 and a 1. So in reality, we're multiplying 1 times x plus 2. So that's x plus 2 as a numerator. And then on the denominator, we just have a 1. So whenever we have anything over 1, is just itself. In this paper, x plus 2 is an option. And then also down here, you have x plus 2 right there. So if you're doing the riddle, the second problem, the letter R, will be right here for this one, which is the third one right here. Okay, I hope this video helps you at least understand the process. Now you just got to practice. Let me know if you need help.